Hello everybody and welcome to the All Blacks versus the British and Irish Lions third test preview, brought to you by DrivingMaul. Thank you very much for joining me. I am Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, and if you watch this on YouTube, don't forget you can always give it a good thumbs up whenever you like, and obviously share it with all your friends as well, please. So we've had both the teams announced this morning, and we can also we'll have a very quick look forward at the weather as well. So let's run through those teams, run through how we think they're going to play a bit, and then give you a prediction at the very end as to how I see the game going. So let's kick off. First off, the All Blacks at 5 AM this morning announced their team as we had as rumoured. Geordie Barrett is the big name and the big change in it, but let's run through from the forwards first. Up front, Joe Moody, Cody Taylor, Owen Franks, Bailey Retallick, Sam Whitelock, Kano, Sam Cane and Kieran Reid, the same pack as we've had all series long, with Harris, Crockett, Fuamina, Scott Barrett and Ardie Savea on the bench. So, as we saw in the first test, these guys can man up and get over the gain line and fight it out with the best of them. I mean, with Bailey Retallick and Kieran Reid, we've got two World Rugby Players of the Year in there. It's a strong pack. Last week we saw when the All Blacks were down a player, they decided to take off Kano and replace him with Lamapi and keep the backs at full strength because they knew, or they trusted the front seven to step up and make up for missing a man because the pack have got the power to do that. So, same pack, no surprise, playing through there. Coming on then through the other groups, thanks for retweeting that. Cabra, or however you pronounce that Twitter handle, it really does help. Going through in the halfbacks, Aaron Smith, Beauden Barrett again, no big surprises there, and with TJ Perenara and Aaron Cruden coming off the bench, plenty of cover and class to replace them as they get tired. Now we get into where the interesting choices had to be made. Sonny Bill Williams, obviously with his 4-week ban, can't play, with Crockett still injured. He was out as well. In the end, they've gone with Lamapi and Anton Leonard-Brown in the centres. And the we've got people from the UK. Pauline, thank you very much. Wide awake. And with that, we have a very inexperienced setup. Lamapi, ex-rugby league player, like Sonny Bill Williams, has one test to his name. Anton Leonard-Brown, really in his second season as a professional player. 12, and amazingly he's got 12 tests to his name already, but a very inexperienced centre pairing. Israel Dagg has moved out to the wing, and let's say Geordie Barrett comes on for his with one cap to his name. Did he get one cap? Or was this? I thought he was uncapped. Anyway, that's Geordie Barrett's second test. Sorry, yeah, he played in the Samoa game, I think. From memory, from the bench. So basically, with that in mind, we've got two players with just one cap. Julian Savea comes in for Rico Iwani on the left wing. So two brand new wingers, or both wingers dropped. So Julian Savea with 53 caps is the most capped back in the team after Aaron Smith, who's got 61. So I think he's been brought back in. Rico didn't have a great game, was a bit quiet last weekend, and he brings a bit of experience into the back line, which is, as I say, very inexperienced with two guys with just one cap, and Anton Brown only in his second year as a professional with 12 caps there. Off the bench, Fekitoa, who is going to be the bench replacement, someone that everyone thought was probably going to be in the initial squad, obviously called up in this last week, knows his way around the pitch, 23 caps. Someone who apparently was really upset not to be in the squad and rumoured to be having his head turned by Europe. We'll see if coming back into the squad alters that and keeps him around. But again, another player that a lot of people consider to be an All Black starter or potential starter. That bench is very strong across the board. And that's one of the things we've always talked about, the All Blacks, is the bench coming on and giving them a boost around the 50 minutes, 60 minute mark. So yes, a couple of interesting choices there, going with Lamapi and Geordie Barrett. Geordie Barrett possibly has been brought in because of Bowden Barrett's kicking issues last weekend. Geordie is the person who kicks for the Hurricanes, the Super Rugby side they both play for. So I guess so that's probably why he's been brought in, is to take over the kicking duties, as well as being a very good player. What can we expect from the All Blacks? Well, as we all know, the forwards have been manning it up and fighting for that gain line battle. Now, last week, obviously losing a player, they probably kept it tighter and had a much more kicking game than necessary, territorial kicking game than usual. This time around, I think we'll still see plenty of kicks, perhaps more contestable than territory-wise, and obviously seeing them do their set-piece moves or attacking on counter-attack once they're in the opposition half. Going over to the Lions, as you'd expect, we're into the third test of the series, so also not a very settled side. In fact, no changes at all, but we'll still run through it. Mako Vunipola, Jamie George and Ty Furlong across the front. There was a lot of talk about, a lot of talk on Twitter at least, about Vunipola and whether he should be dropped after picking up those 3 penalties, including a yellow card last game. But he is a class act. Yet clearly, I think that hit on Farrell by Cody Taylor that didn't get blown made him lose a fuse a little bit. But he is a class operator. You don't drop him just because he had one brain fade. Also, with Owens, McGrath and Sinclair on the bench, what we're seeing is a continuation of what's been happening all tour, which is the front rows being used as units. It's not the same units we saw at the very beginning of the tour, but I think they've only been changed once, which was the front rows being used as a team within a team, so they get to know each other well for scrummaging, for lifting, and all that kind of stuff. Second row obviously stays the same, Itoje and Jones, with Courtney Laws to come off the bench. Jones obviously has taken a lot of flack, but he really stood up in the last game. And Itoje, yes, he picked up a couple of penalties, but he did an awful lot of work around the park as well, working with Sam Warburton, Falatau, O'Brien in that back row. They did slow the ball down a lot more in the last game. Now, okay, sure, Kano wasn't around, but because he'd been subbed, but they definitely worked better at slowing it down, with CJ Stander, who didn't come off the bench last weekend, available as well, especially as a late-on carrying option. Conor Murray, Jordan Sexton in the half-back combination, with Owen Farrell at 12. Again, that Sexton-Farrell combination means we're going to see, or gives the potential for the Lions to play wide, with Farrell's cut-out pass and with Sexton looping around Farrell as well. Whereas if you look at someone like Lamapi, he's not the best passer of the ball. He's had a league background. He is going to run down that channel. These guys are going to get plenty of opportunities to tackle, and they're going to have to stand up to that. But you've got to wonder, do the All Blacks have the same ability with him in there to spread the ball wide? Maybe you'd see someone like Geordie Barrett stepping in as a second playmaker from fullback to allow that to happen. But to say I expect the Lions, again, as soon as there are mismatches, as soon as it's broken play, to try and get that width. Jonathan Davis, been fantastic on tour at 13, so no surprise there. And then the cover of Ben Teo off the bench. Webb obviously is covering Conor Murray, a great player to come on in broken field at the end to sniping runs. So Jonathan Davis with Teo to come off the bench if they need. Again, didn't get used last weekend. Then a back three of Elliot Daly, Anthony Watson and Liam Williams at 15. There was reports midweek that Liam Williams couldn't train, so we'll just have to see how long he lasts for. And Jack Nowell is a player to come off the bench there. Jack Nowell filled in for Liam Williams, has played fullback at under 20s level, but better known now as a winger. Anthony Watson also plays fullback as well, so either of those two could slot in if Liam Williams has to come off through injury or just through tiredness. So again, I think we're going to see that Lions pack needing to fight with the All Blacks pack over that gain line. If the All Blacks get the gain line ascendancy they did in the first test, then it's going to be a very long and hard day at the office. if the Lions can maintain the parity they got, or getting their ability to get over the game line we saw in the second test, even before the All Blacks were down to 14 men, then they're in with a much better chance. Obviously, the Lions need to cut out the penalties, the silly penalties. They need to cut out the turnovers and the drop balls that we saw in the last test when playing up against 15 men, especially when they've got Geordie Barrett there, who won't be missing as many kicks as his older brother. It's going to be a great game. I can't wait. I'm going to be there, so watch out for my pre-game, half-time and post-game reports from the stands. It should be an absolute cracker, as the last two have been. I've been invited by a friend to join him. He got tickets from Dove to attend the All Blacks training this afternoon, so I will be switching my shirt out and having wear my All Blacks jersey for that, going undercover. So let's see if I can get some videos from that. That'll be fun, because we are back down to a decider, just like we were 4 years ago. As one of my All Blacks friends has said, this is probably the biggest game outside Rugby World Cup for the past 10 years, past decade. It's going to be massive. It should be big. Let's all enjoy it. Personally, we are talking about the All Blacks here. We are talking about the best sports team in the world, in any code. They only lose one game a year. Well, that's already happened. So my prediction is the All Blacks will probably win this one, and I'm going for by 7. For the Lions to have come into this series, and I'll probably do a video on this, but a lot of people were talking about the Lions losing every single game apart from the Provincial Barbarians at the beginning. They said they would lose against all 5 Super Rugby teams. They said they would lose against the New Zealand Maoris. So this tour, whatever happens tomorrow on Saturday, has been a massive success for the Lions. They obviously beat the Provincial Barbarians. They beat 2 of the Super Rugby franchises and had a draw, and they beat the New Zealand Maori. So that means what they've Provincial Barbarians, 2 Super Rugby games, the New Zealand Maori, and an All Blacks test. They've won 5 out of their 10 games, and they've drawn 1. So from that point of view, it can only be a winning series for them, which is great. All this talk of the Lions disappearing in the future, no, it can't. For number one, it earns too much money, so it's not going to go away. The other one is people just love it so much. It is great, so it can't go away. It needs its window. It needs its games. Yes, the arguments really for its, or the only potential of it going away, is around clubs withholding their players, and that just comes down to money play. They would like to see some more money in compensation, so that's fine. So it's going to go ahead. So don't worry. 4 years' time, get your flights, start making friends in South Africa. It's going to be there, and it will be another cracker. I've just gone on a total tangent. As I say, we've seen the sides. I'll put a poll on Twitter. Let me know who you think is going to win. I think it's going to be All Blacks by 7, but I really am looking forward to it, and I really do hope for a Lions win. So please share this with your friends. Give it a thumbs up on YouTube. Sign up for my newsletter. Link above on Twitter. Down below on YouTube. Have a great old time. Also, you can catch. I have done my first ever podcast. So go on to SoundCloud and search for DrivingMaul and #RugbyChat, and have a listen to that, and let me know what you think. There will be another one live on YouTube that will then put out as a podcast on the 18th of July. So look out for that as well. Thank you so much for joining me. This tour has been a blast. It's not quite over yet.